Welcome to the Week 2 edition of the Big Red Wolf Report, where we pull the game that will be through the prism of the game that was. The Cardinals beat the Detroit Lions last week to go 1-1 on the season. Big Red scored 9 points in the fourth quarter and did not allow the Lions offense to score in the second half to win by 4 points. It was the definition of winning a game late by making more plays than the opponent. Now the Cards are preparing for their toughest test of the early season, the 2-0 New Orleans Saints. Let's start unpacking, shall we? Point 1, Drew Brees. Drew Brees is one of the best quarterbacks in the game. He has routinely torched defenses in the National Football League at an alarming pace. He has explosive receivers around him and a revamped rushing attack that is underrated. Marcus Colston, Lance Moore, and Bobby Meacham have been with Brees for years, and they make few mistakes and have a complete understanding of the offense. But tight end Jimmy Graham is the freak that coordinators fear. He's tall, runs very well, and has become Brees' favorite target in the red zone. The Cardinals faced an explosive offense last week and acquitted themselves pretty well. The Lions' prolific pass offense was all but shut down in the second half. The Cards gave up 90 total yards in the second half, 4 first downs, and no points after the break. Matthew Stafford and Calvin Johnson were controlled and did not convert a third down in the second half. Point 2, the Cardinals' ability to run the ball against the Saints' front seven. The Cardinals didn't post staggering numbers on the ground against the Lions, but they did run the ball effectively enough to remain a three-dimensional offense, running it, throwing it, and using play action to keep the Lions on their heels. Rashard Mendenhall showed the burst, explosion, and shoulder rip that made him one of the better backs in the league while in Pittsburgh. Andre Ellington also contributed on the ground, and one would imagine his role might be expanded heading into the Big Easy. Running the ball well against the Saints will be critical. The Saints struggle to stop the run, and on paper, this is one area where the Cards can exploit defensive coordinator Rob Ryan's defense. New Orleans is giving up 5.28 yards per carry. But more than this, if the Cards are running the ball well and moving the chains, Drew Brees is on the bench, and so is Big Red's defense. Point number 3, make Brees one-dimensional. One of the more underrated elements to the Saints offense is their ability to run the ball. Although Drew Brees is a Q that is completely capable of holding up in a pass-first offense, Sean Payton likes to remain relatively balanced. The Saints have an impressive stable of running backs with Pierre Thomas, Mark Ingram, and the explosive Darren Sproles. The Cards can make Brees one-dimensional by shutting down the threat of the run. Big Red has the 4th best average yards per carry allowed in the league, giving up a measly 2.64 per attempt. And they blunted the Lions and controlled the line of scrimmage last week. The Cards' front seven was a concern coming into the season, and they faced their biggest test this Sunday. Winning in New Orleans these days is no easy proposition, especially when Drew Brees plays in the Superdome. But Bruce Arians' team has been competitive in the first 2 weeks of the season, and I expect that to be a common thread throughout the year. We'll see. For Arizona Sports 620 and .com, I'm Ron Wolfley with your Big Red Wolf Report. We'll see you next week.